Bill Randa was right.
What exactly was my father right about?
About everything. Their world and ours. Their balance.
So many questions answered in this one episode that I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle the season finale. We find out that moodiness is hereditary and that time-bending portals can cause a bit of a problem. Okay, roll the intro. We start with Randa and Shaw sitting with young Hiroshi.
I think it's about that time, Bill.
It looks like they've kind of split up the parenting duties. Lee is going on a mission, a very important mission.
You know that it's top secret Army Explorer stuff, right?
He tells young Hiroshi that it's dangerous, but it's also important, and he gives him his favorite one-of-a-kind pocket knife. While the two men walk and talk, it looks like Monarch has become something huge in just a few years since the 1960s. The two men reminisce about what Kay would think if she saw all of this.
She'd miss all this. Running around doing 9 jobs at once.
Yeah. Doing all of them better than any 9 of us could do one.
Looks like they're about to drop a Titan phone into a portal, and Shaw is one of the brave men that's going with it.
I'm not gonna ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself.
It could be me.
Did you ever manage to get that Jeep out of third?
Oh, go to hell.
First men into the Hollow Earth, it's kind of like the opposite of the space race.
Kennedy can have outer space and all the big rocks floating in it. We're about to plant our flag in underspace.
I'm not gonna lie, Shaw looks pretty cool in his Holonaut suit, and the general gives a spine-chilling monologue.
This mission is a matter of global security and the preservation of mankind, gentlemen.
The look on Billy's face is complete pride. Pride in knowing such a brave person, and pride of being part of such a huge moment. Kay would be proud of both him and Shaw for what Monarch has become. With the technology of the time, the portal only works if a Titan goes through it at the same time, kind of like a Pacific Rim situation. And I guess they also kind of do that on Godzilla vs. Kong. So I believe the plan is to follow a Titan down the portal very closely. But first, they need to call a Titan.
Jesus. That's a big one.
Shaw and his team drop their pod, but something goes wrong. Again, the portals don't like being messed with. They've never done this before, so how would Randa know if it's going right or wrong? The portal starts to implode, and this is probably how Shaw knows how to do it in 2015. Billy looks scared. Is it happening again? Is he losing another friend to his hubris? To his uncontrollable need for knowledge about these Titans? He's already lost his wife and the mother of his kid, and now his best friend and partner in all of this is gone. When the portal finally stops, the look on Billy's face has turned to pure terror.
What the hell happened? I don't know.
Now the only thing left to do is tell young Hiroshi. In 2015, Kentaro is waking up in a hospital in Tokyo. His leg is broken and his face is beat up, and he's been out long enough for Columbo to be up and back to work, albeit on crutches. Kentaro isn't reacting great to the news that May, Shaw, and even Kate are gone.
There has to be something I can do. Something we can do.
In the Hollow Earth, May and Shaw are waking up somewhere in the woods. Kate! May is confused, and it's taking her time to get her mentals back. And that's when she sees the ground start to glow, and then boom.
We gotta move fast. You gotta hold my hand and move exactly where I move, okay?
The lightning is connected to the ground like a video game. It looks stressful, but also kind of fun.
Affects the ground and it goes off like a lethal static shock.
How do you know that?
The portal is really messing with May's head, but Shaw seems to be back at 100%, having done this once before. May doesn't really know where she is or how she got there until Shaw reminds her.
Oh my God, she followed me back.
Whoa, no.
And she is very upset that Kate fell also.
She started to fall, I caught her. Hey, we fell together.
So they head off into the woods calling for Kate with massive firefly bugs flying above them. In the 60s, Randa has been painstakingly trying to figure out what went wrong, where Shaw went, and if they can get them back. But he's only one part of the team. Without Kay and Shaw, he's just not enough. That's whenever he gets even worse news from the general.
As a result of the catastrophic loss of life in the undertaking of Operation Hourglass and the inability of Project Monarch to ascertain the cause of the catastrophe, the Department of Defense has ordered no further funds be allocated to Project Monarch going forward.
He's not ready to stop. He's already obsessing over this, and now they're pulling his funding?
Your boy's already lost a mother. Now an uncle. Do not take his father away too.
In 2015, Shaw is trying to explain what he can to May.
Well, I'm not a science guy, so it's a little difficult to explain.
That's when we flash back to Shaw waking up in a hospital bed. He's disoriented and the scientists and doctors in hazmat suits are asking a lot of questions but not giving him any answers. Seemingly for days, so Shaw stops eating. A good old hunger strike will show him. I guess time in the Hollow Earth hasn't changed him much.
I'd like to have Bill Randa bring me a sandwich.
But a kind nurse brings him a Christmas cookie, hoping that it'll cheer him up.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a hunger strike if I made any exceptions with it.
But the man of action that he is done waiting, so he takes the nurse hostage. So if you made it this far in the video, let's face it, you like the video. So you should like the video. And if you like the video, you should subscribe to the channel. And if you like the channel, you should become a Blake's World member. Okay, let's get back to the video.
Bill Randa! Get me Bill Randa! Get me Bill Randa!
But as he walks down the hall, he starts to notice things are different. First he sees an MRI machine, but hey, he's not a science guy. Let's just keep going.
Get me Bill Randa!
Then he sees a space shuttle launching. But wait, they weren't even close to space yet. How is this happening? Okay, that's weird, but Bill will explain it. Let's just keep going.
Get me!
That's when somebody with an air of being in charge yells down the hall.
Let her go. Go get me Bill Randa!
This guy drops the news that Bill Randa is dead and has been dead for over 10 years. And Shaw has been gone for 20. Also, let's talk about this horrible decline in 11 years. Bill Randa turned from this dude to, well, John Goodman. And I have a feeling that he doesn't become the best father in Kay and Lee's absence. It's 1982, and the man in the suit...
You disappeared during Operation Hourglass in 1962. 20 years ago. Uncle Lee.
Lee is in disbelief, but Hiroshi has his knife. This is too much for Shaw to handle, and it looks like his brain feels like May after landing on the Hollow Earth. He falls down in the shock of it all, and the nurse is finally released. She's pretty important. I'm pretty sure that's Kentaro's mom. She's kind and incredibly understanding of what Shaw must be going through, but also what Hiroshi must be going through. He was left all alone, and now he has one of his parental figures back after all this time. But the world being so different, he's the parent now. In 2015, Kentaro is getting home from the hospital, and his mother is being the loving and understanding person we just saw. She's trying to keep his mind off of things that he can't change. But Kentaro's gonna be his moody self. She says he can go back to work when he gets better, but he doesn't want that. He has serious survivor's guilt, but also he doesn't seem to think that they're truly gone. Just like any good mother, she sees what her son needs. She gives him some sage advice, but also supports him in whatever he needs to do to get through this. Back at Monarch, the job never stopped. The war room is hectic, but Barnes is locked in. As goofy as she is, she's been having all the breakthroughs, and that can't all be luck.
It's a signal!
She basically cuts through all of the patterns to find that there's one pattern that repeats over and over again.
It's a message. Somebody's sending us a message.
In 82, Shaw wakes up in a hospital bed after his outburst.
Is she okay? She will be.
He's a bit confused, but Hiroshi is there.
They sent you in here to talk to me, huh? Think I'll open up to you.
Shaw tells him what happened. They landed and they lost one of their team members on impact. But while they were flying, they saw what I think is an ion dragon. My theory is that these Mutos that guard the portals are foot soldiers for the king of monsters, Godzilla. We already saw the Frostbark in Alaska and the Endopede in Kazakhstan.
So we began playing DVA.
But before they could figure that out, they were attacked by this giant Muto. Shaw and the other survivor retreated, but then the static storm hits and he loses his last team member. That's how Shaw learned to stay away from the glowing spots. Basic video game knowledge, but
He's old school.
The oldest of schools.
now he's all alone and running for his life. Keep in mind that at most, it's only been a few hours since they landed. It looks like they may have buried someone and then started recon and trying to figure out evac. So this has been a relatively quick trip. Not even enough time to need another meal. When the Titan goes back into the portal after feeling like it's wiped out enough trespassers, it pulls Shaw back in.
Next thing I remember,
Next thing you know, he's waking up in a forest in Japan with a passenger jet flying overhead. He's beat up, but his Holonaut suit is still relatively new.
Bill Randa was right.
What exactly was my father right about?
About everything. Their world and ours. their balance.
Hiroshi doesn't want to hear it. He's obviously where Kate and Kentaro get their extreme moodiness from. He's been abandoned, and now it seems like it's too much for him to have all of this hope.
Stop. Stop. We can do this together.
Shaw wants to figure out what happened. Can they go back? Can they use the time travel to their advantage? He doesn't know. He's just not ready to let this go.
We are not doing anything.
But again, Hiroshi's not hearing it.
300,000 years from the cradle of civilization to the moon. We lived with the Titans.
He gives Shaw his knife back and tells him that he's going to a very nice retirement home. Even though Shaw isn't very old technically, and that's where Shaw sits. For almost 40 years, becoming a myth around the Monarch water cooler for nerds like Columbo. Until one day he sees on the TV that Godzilla is fighting a Muto in San Francisco. His face changes from that of a defeated man to a man with a purpose. In what I would think is now years later, but we'll say 2015, May is kind of empathetic to Shaw. She's also lost time with her loved ones that she won't be able to get back.
I don't know. I don't think I lost years, May.
I mean, you lost 11 years without aging a day, then you set for the next 40 years staring at the TV on a happy pill diet.
Don't let this get to your head, but you look good for 90, whatever.
Everybody tells me.
Yeah, I'd say you lost a few years.
I mean, if I could find some way to get you home, and what happened to me doesn't happen to you, well, then I'd say it was worth it.
They keep screaming for Kate, but it's not looking good. Kentaro's at his father's office looking for information on how he can continue his search. Weeks must have gone by because his leg is healed and the crutches are gone. That's when his father, after all this time, just walks in. Hiroshi kind of acts like nothing happened at first, but gives up on that and starts to apologize. But Kentaro says that it's too late for that. So Hiroshi apologizes again, but again Kentaro says that it's too late for that. So Hiroshi asks, why is it too late? So Kentaro tells him that Kate is gone. Hiroshi doesn't believe it and he starts to weep and beg for it not to be true. But Kentaro just piles on more, telling him that it's all his fault. If he wasn't such a sad, lying little man, she wouldn't have had to search for him and she'd still be alive. But she is alive. Kate wakes up in a forest surrounded by glowing lights. I can't tell if this is a gateway like in the Godzilla x Kong, the new Empire trailer, or if these are just fires left by the static lightning storm caused by her arrival. She's alone in the Hollow Earth, but she's alive. She's alone in the Hollow Earth and she's about to become pygmy, but she's alive for now. Also, if this is the guardian of this portal, Kate really lucked out. However, it's about to gore her like Rhino from WWE. When it's hit by an arrow in the eye and runs away in fear. That's when we see her, Dr. Kieko Mira, looking like the Hollow Earth Mockingjay. With our minds completely blown, we get the credits. Hey, thanks for watching. Click here for more videos and subscribe to keep up with all the Blake's World updates. I'd appreciate it. All right, I'll see you next time.